Don't know about you guys, but within the short Blackout beta period, I didn't want to put the game down. The more I played, the more I wanted to play. It definitely has that replayability that most Battle Royales have, and from what I saw in a recent interview with Lord Vonderhart, Blackout is set to follow the footsteps of Fortnite releasing regular updates crammed with content, and it being Treyarch and Activision, I think it's right to expect a lot. Along the way, I picked up some awesome tips and tricks, which I'm planning to drop a video on soon, before the full release, but for now, I thought it would be a good idea to make a video on things I believe that need changing or tweaking in-game, plus things I weren't too sure on. Armour. The biggest thing the community took from the beta was the fact that the level 3 armour was way too overpowered, and if equipped you could dominate the battlefield. There were instances where I was shooting an enemy in the back, and because the armour was so strong they could turn around and kill me before the armour would break. Treyarch have changed the resilience and strength of the armour since the beta, but would expect more changes from now to release and even after, I'm sure. Personally, after playing for a few hours and losing most one-on-ones in the first few minutes because I didn't have the armour and the enemy did, I believe if everyone started out with level 1 armour, this would make things a lot fairer across board and less about luck. There were a few matches, especially on the first day of the beta, I'd noticed only 20 players left after only 5 minutes, and I can guarantee the majority of the remaining players all had level 3 armour. This meant the final 15-20 minutes of the match was extremely slow and hardly anybody died. Another flaw I found with the armour system was the more gunfights you get in, destroying the enemies as well as losing your own puts you at such a disadvantage late game against enemies that just camps the whole game and still have full armour. Blackout is fast paced and all about gunfights, and if armour is a major deciding factor for the result of one-on-one engagements, meaning you are worse off after winning a gunfight when you should be rewarded, may frustrate players. I'm not sure what the fix is, but hopefully Treyarch have made some major improvements to the armour system, making it not so important. Looting. The looting system definitely needs to be easier. I know it differs from PC to console, and as far as I know, PC has a system like PUBG's where you can press the inventory button and all the nearby loot can be seen, whereas on console it doesn't have this feature and you have to physically look at the loot to see what it is. Also, when looting a downed enemy or a drop, you need to cycle through each item to actually see what's dropped. This can take some time and leave you vulnerable. Also, when picking up loot off the floor, it can actually take a couple of attempts as you need to be looking at the loot directly and not near to it like most other Battle Royale games. Many times in the first few minutes, I've been the first to a weapon, but because my positioning was slightly off, an enemy has come up from behind and stolen the weapon, even though I was there way before. Ammo. Ammo plays a huge part in this game, and finding enough of the right type can be tricky, especially when starting out. In Blackout, you need to actually look at the ammo to see what it is, to then pick it up, and in some cases, means accidentally picking up the weapon next to it instead. In other Battle Royale games, the ammo is usually auto pickup, and it's something you don't need to worry about as much. But in Blackout, it's something you need to be aware of at all times. In a recent interview with Lord Vonderhart, they said they had looked at this and decided to keep it how it is, as after a few games, you start to get to know what the ammo looks like, which speeds up the process. I don't 100% agree with this, and I think the auto pickup system would work a lot better. Weapon attachments and item use. Attaching and removing attachments from weapons definitely needs to be looked at and simplified. You can attach a stock, for example, just by picking up the item with a gun equipped, and to unattach it, you need to go into your inventory and unattach each part one by one. Also, if there is an item in your backpack you want to attach, you can either attach it by going into your inventory or by using the quick menu, which I believe is only available on console. It would be nice to have a way of attaching and unattaching all items at once, but we'll have to wait and see what Treyarch do with the system. On console, applying meds is pretty simple and can be done by the quick access menu, but on PC, as I said, they don't have this feature, so they have to actually go into their inventory and apply it there, which I think is very long-winded and can result in your death, especially if you are in the middle of a gunfight. Sniping. To me, sniping feels slightly off, and there has been instances where my crosshairs are on target, but I haven't got a hit marker. There's also been other instances where my crosshairs are just off target, and I managed to get a hit marker. There is bullet travel time in this game, which you do need to take into account, but when an enemy is standing still 15 meters away and you miss, gives away your position in most cases, resulting in your death. Campers. I play a lot of solos, and one thing I noticed during the beta was there was a lot of camping going on. For very aggressive players, this can be extremely frustrating, and they have to adjust their playing style, especially if they're used to playing games like Fortnite. B, to introduce a consumable perk. One way to discourage campers would be to introduce a consumable perk that allows you to see or hear nearby enemies. I'm not 100% sure how it would work, but something along those lines would discourage camping and encourage faster and more aggressive gameplay. Points of interest. Even though the map seems pretty large at first, after a couple of matches, it does start to feel pretty small. There definitely isn't enough points of interest, in my opinion, and although there are a fair few buildings away from named locations, you always seem to land with or near to an enemy. More so in solos than anything, as there is a large amount of players trying to find unlooted locations. Treyarch have mentioned more locations being added, and you never know, we might see new points of interest in the full release. They also mentioned the sea might be getting a point of interest, which would add a different dynamic to the mode. There is plenty of space on the map for new locations to be added, especially around the turbine area, where there is plenty of empty space. Maybe buried could be added here, who knows, we'll see. Footsteps. We all know using headphones to hear nearby enemies in any shooter definitely gives you the upper hand. In many one-on-one situations during the beta, I thought an enemy was approaching from the southwest to find out they were actually approaching from the northeast, the completely opposite direction. This obviously resulted in my death and honestly made me look stupid. I'm not 100% sure if it happens all the time or depends on the situation, nearby objects and your location. A simple way around it was to wear your headphones the other way around. Left speaker on right ear and right on left. But hopefully this won't find its way to the full game. Another issue I found with footsteps was that your own were a lot louder in your headphones, preventing you from hearing enemies properly. And it was easy to confuse your own for the enemies. Also, when using the awareness perk to hear nearby enemies' footsteps, it felt like you could hear footsteps from like 300 meters away. This definitely needs some tweaking, and personally I thought it was way too overpowered. It was actually confusing. Gunfights and in-game sound. Another issue I found with sound during the beta was nearby gunfire sounds a lot closer than it actually was. What sounds like gunfire 100 meters away was actually 500 meters away. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but that's what it seemed like. Muzzle flash and damage flinch. It's not so much of an issue on console as aim assist plays a big part, but on PC, when it's all about your eyesight and aiming, the muzzle flash makes it extremely difficult to see and track an enemy when shooting at them. It'd be nice for this to be toned down a bit, as even on console it can catch you out. Also, taking damage, your character does a flinch and the screen flashes red. In my opinion, this was way too intense, like the muzzle flash, and can impede your field of view when you most need it. That's all I've got, and I'm sure there are some I've missed, but Blackout definitely has the potential to be a great game and have a bright future. It's definitely shaken up the Battle Royale genre, and it would be exciting to see where Treyarch takes it, knowing that the game is set up for regular updates and patches, and in a recent interview with Gaming Informer, they said this is their plan. We'll be seeing weekly updates and additions to Blackout and other modes in Black Ops 4, I hope. In my opinion, that's what Black Ops 3 lacked, and it would definitely add longevity to the game as a whole. That's it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Like if you like, comment and sub. Catch you all in another video soon. I've been Rough Diamond. Laters.